Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for Huttons Consumer Connect. Tonight, I'm going to share with you the cooling measures that came out on the night of the 29th and take effect on the 30th of September midnight. So, as usual, the government rolled out the cooling measures very close to midnight, and which takes effect almost immediately, with leaving everyone with no reaction time at all. So before I start, if you have not followed us on these social media channels, which I have flashed here, you have not scanned them, you may want to do so to follow us. There's the English social media as well as the Chinese one, like WeChat, Weibo, Xiaohongshu, TikTok, and Zhihu. So later on, if you have any questions that you want to ask me, please put them into the Q&A so that I can answer you later on. So try not to put into the chat itself, because it's easier for me to put into look at the Q&A. Okay, now let me. Okay. So Huttons is running quite a number of giveaway this month and the previous few months also, and we will probably continue this until maybe close to end of the year. So if you want to win tickets to a concert, you can actually follow us on IG. You can search for Huttons Group on IG, and then you can look at this concert giveaway. There are quite a number of big stars in this concert, like if I can remember, Stephanie Sun is there. Yeah, so you can listen. Tanya Chua, even Luo Zhixiang is also there also. Then if you want to win a water filtration system, water dispenser, and it filters off some of the things also. And this brand, Living Care, is also endorsed by Fan Wong. You want to win this, you have to follow us on our YouTube, and then you should tell us why you should win this water dispenser. This is the second dispenser I'm giving away. The first one, we ran the campaign on Facebook. So the second one, we are doing it on YouTube. Not only this, if you want to, not interested in all this, you want to win cash or even vouchers, you can join this contest called propertywatch.huttonsgroup.com. All you need to do is to go to this web page, make a guess as to the picture that we are featuring there, which condo, which new project that is. Then you stand a chance to actually win up to $500 cash or prizes. If you want to follow us, get our latest property news, any other thing that's related to property market, you can actually sign up for our newsletter, which you can scan the QR code here. I have also put the QR code just now earlier on the very first screen itself. So tomorrow I will have one more, but it's conducted in Mandarin. It's the same content, but you have your Chinese-speaking friends who you can invite them to actually come for this webinar also. Then next week on the 16th, we will have a international properties consumer seminar. It's on properties in Phnom Penh. So you can actually join us if you are interested. Actually, it is conducted a physical session. It's 111 Somerset. It's not live, so you have to make your way down to 111 Somerset. It's actually on a Sunday afternoon. Okay, today, what I'm going to cover here, the information that I use and all these are actually taken from media, government sources. So we are not responsible for any errors from them. Okay, first off is the government introduced fresh set of cooling measures. What are these? First of all, of course, the interest rate, the medium-term interest rate used for TDSR and MSR, they are increasing it by 0.5% point to 4% point. We can see this interest rate as a stress test interest rate. Why so? I will explain to you all later. Another is that this time around the cooling measure is actually more targeted towards the Hdb market. So you can see that they are telling the buyers of Hdb resale flats is that if you are previously a private property owner or currently a private property owner, haven't sell off yet, you want to buy, now you have to meet this 15-month wait out period. So this is in a way to some people very stringent, as well as caught them off guard that right now they have no choice but actually to go and rent. So they feel that this is unfair. So these are all the top market sentiment out there on this new policy. So today I will explain what's the impact on the market itself, and then what are the possible solutions. Of course, solutions to everyone. Some will be good, some you would think that it is actually unfair also. So first off is that TDSR. So they raised this medium-term interest rate to actually up by 0.5 percent point. So what is this? As I said earlier, this is a stress test. We know that when we borrow from the banks, the interest that we are paying is definitely not 3.5% or not even 4%. Of course, right now it is pretty high because the SORA, if I'm not wrong, is actually more than 2% already. Plus the bank spread and everything, it's actually coming close to 3%. That's why this stress test is to make sure that whatever you are paying to the bank does not come close to it. Because if you come too close or even exceed that, that means if anything happens, you will not have the sufficient buffer to actually help you to tide over that difficult period. That's why this stress test interest rate is very, very important. So when our borrowing interest rate is pushing closer and closer to 3.5, the government has no choice but actually to raise this stress test interest rate to 4%. In fact, this is actually expected by almost everyone, I would say, in the market. Everybody is just there sitting and waiting to see when the government will actually react to move this up. Of course, if they move too much, there's a high risk of them, say, dipping the whole market into a correction. But they want to maintain the market in a very sustainable, very stable rate. That's why they choose to be more cautious when they increase this up. They only choose a 0.5% point. So in that sense, everything is still, maybe they also feel that the interest rate may not go too high also. So this may be enough for the moment. But we cannot discount also the fact that if interest rates should ever go more and more closer to the 4% now, they may actually do another round of revision. This we cannot discount that. Now, this applies to all OTP issued on or after the 30th of September. That means because they announced on 29th, so that means you do not have enough time to react, because in the 10 minutes time, it actually becomes 30th of September. So essentially, right now, everybody is on this new interest rate of 4% already. So what is the impact on your loan? So assuming that the couple, the IWA, which is the income weighted average age. So what the government does is that they will take the income times the age of the two person add together and divide by the total income itself to get the weighted age. So if the older person earns more, that means this weighted age will be higher, so that when you can borrow money from the bank, your loan tenure will be actually the lower 65 minus the income weighted average age. So here we have an IWAA of 35 years. 65 years is the max they prescribe for a 75% loan, and you minus off, so your max loan tenure is 30. Anyway, your max loan tenure also cannot exceed 30 if you want a 75% loan also. So if they have a combined income of 10,000 per month and no other outstanding loan, based on the previous TDSR interest rate of 3.5%, the loan that this couple can actually take from the bank is about 1.22 million. I round it up. There are more than a lot of small numbers at the back. If it goes up to 4%, which is what it is now, so your loan that you can actually take is about 1.15 million. So there is a difference of about 73,000, so about 5.9%. So this applies throughout for all income itself. So whether you are earning 10,000, 12,000, or 8,000, and up to 20, 30,000, this will happen. It's a reduction of the loan amount by 5.9%. Of course, if you take a shorter loan tenure, the reduction in loan is actually smaller than 5.9. I think it's about 5.2 thereabout. So this is the situation, the fact that's facing everybody who go and buy a property now. Whatever you can borrow is actually lower by 5.9%. Now, because of this cooling measure, the demand for properties may slow in these 3 months. That means in the last quarter of this year, because every time we have cooling measure, now what we had in December 2021 also, the demand also slowed down, and then developers may also hold back some of the launches to next year or to the next few months later. So this quarter, we don't think that you're going to see a lot of launches. Some of these will still go ahead because they already started, but there may be still some in the planning of works that will be actually pushed back to the next year. So what it does is that the amount of units actually launched for sale this year will be the record low. If you can look at the bar here, our estimate is that we probably have about 4,000 odd units that is actually pushed up for sale in 2022. Lowest in the past few years from here, I show you until 2017. Because of the low units launched for sale, low number of projects, this year we are only seeing like something like 15. So it will have an impact on the overall sales volume. Previously, if there's no this cooling measure didn't come about, we are expecting up to 9,000 units being sold for the entire year. Because of this and launches delay and stuff, we lower this down to up to 8,000. And this sale, even though we say it is very low, again, it is how you look at it, whether the cup of water is half full or half empty. We want to look at this is that supply launched less, but look at the buying demand, much more than the supply. So it means that there is a lot of demand in the market that is waiting for the right product for them to actually enter to buy. And this has actually continued since 2021. And will prices fall? Our take is that prices will not fall in this current market. The reason is because there are very little units that actually launched for sale and remain unsold. This is as of the second quarter, because the third quarter numbers are not out. It's only out the last Friday of October. So right now it's about 2,008. But our guess is that the third quarter, we may probably see slightly more than this, because we have quite a few major projects launched in the third quarter. And of course, when they launch, you cannot expect that it to be 100% sold out. If that's the case, then you will see this number go down. But they have some units that were not sold, so they will add on to this unsold unit over here. So we are expecting slightly more unsold units as of the third quarter. But then again, when we look at the different projects that's actually out there in the market, most of them are actually 80% sold, or even some 90% or close to 100% sold already. Because of this, there is actually no need for developers to react to this cooling measure. So they can continue to let the project sales continue to run. And after the cooling measure for the week itself, when we track, it was actually business as usual. Buyers are still going into the market to buy. In fact, the last week itself, we actually, out of the total sales in the market, I think about 60 or 70% of the sales were actually in the core central region. That is the strength of the whole market itself and the amount of liquidity in the market. So we don't think that prices are going to fall in the last quarter of 2022. For now, 9 months, we already see 7.8% gain. If the last quarter prices stay flat, that means the whole year we are still saying 7.8%. So that's why if you read our comments in the newspaper, we say that the prices will increase up to 8% for 2022, and we did not change that because we are very confident that it will not go below that. Now onto the HDB cooling measure. Very important here is that this is targeted at private property owners moving over to the HDB market. So I mean, the private property owners, the PPO, will say that it is actually unfair that they are targeted, because previously, before this was actually this policy was rolled out, private property owners, if they want to buy HDB, can, but they need to dispose of their private property within 6 months of them buying a HDB flat. This was actually fair because they move over, they need a place to stay before they will sell, right? So, but when this policy is pushed out, now the whole equation is changed. You need to actually sell your private property first, and then wait for 15 months before you can go and buy a HDB flat. Of course, if you are senior, you are in a way trying to cash out your private property to have funds for retirement, HDB is not stopping you from doing so, just that they are encouraging you to buy 4-room or smaller flat to actually for your golden years. And they also reduce, if you're borrowing money from HDB to buy a HDB flat, they reduce the loan-to-value ratio to 80%. This actually brings the loan-to-value ratio closer to what the banks are granting to buyers of HDB flat. The banks are granting only 75%. So therein lies a few questions here. Do both spouses have to be 55 to be exempted? So if husband is 58 years old and the wife is 52, can they be exempted from this 15 months wait if they want to buy a HDB 4-room flat or smaller? Actually, the answer is no. HDB needs both parties, the husband and the wife, to be 55 years old and above to be exempted from this rule, and then allow them to buy a 4-room HDB flat or even a smaller flat. If you do not fulfill this age requirement, they will say that you have to wait up 15 months. Next is that, of course, agents, we know the HDB rules very well, so we try to ask whether can we just use one person name, because although husband and wife is still married, you can still have an owner and an essential occupier. So that was a question we posed to HDB also. Can we do the same thing in this way? Husband is 58, 45, right? Above 55. Wife is 52, but we put the wife as essential occupier. So that means it's not an owner. Can we do that? Answer from HDB is also no. So what it means that both spouses are actually considered as one entity itself. Both must be at least 55 years old. So they cover all angles. Everybody is all covered under this policy. There is no way for us to try to play around with the rules if you want to use the term in this way. Now, then the other is that who need to wait 15 months and what flat type can be purchased. So if the husband is 58, the wife is 52, what can we actually buy? And do we need to wait 15 months? So the answer is that you have to wait 15 months, and then all flat types you are actually in a way restricted in that sense. You have to wait 15 months before you can buy. After that, of course, you are free to buy whatever flat type that you want. But if you are husband 58, the wife is 57. Now, here comes the question is that, so what is the flat type that you can buy or you cannot buy? If you remember my earlier slide, HDB gives some leeway to senior. So if you want to buy a 4-room and smaller, and you meet the age requirement both at least 55, you can buy a 4-room and smaller flat. Don't need to wait 15 months. But if you want to buy a big flat, too bad HDB say that you have to wait 15 months. And then the other question is that some buyers who want to buy HDB flat, they usually say that I sold my property before 30th September. Can I buy HDB flat now? That is the question, because there are actually quite a few ex-private property owners who are actually caught in this situation. So HDB is saying one thing, that is no. Why? Because they want the resale application to actually go into a system on or before 30th, actually it's before 30th September. Okay, because of this situation now, this unique case, this ex-private property owner have to actually wait 15 months for them from the official completion date of their sale of their private property before they can actually go and submit application to buy a resale flat. So again, this is what people say as unfair. We read some of the comments in the papers also. So it means that these people who are actually caught in this kind of situation have to go to the market to rent. And they are actually not in a very favorable position, I would say, because the private home rent is on a very strong price rent growth for 2021 as well as 2022. This half year itself, rents are actually up by 11.2%. This is the entire market. There are situations where certain apartments rents went up by 30%, 50% upon renewal also. So it's not uncommon for us to hear that on the ground. So there is limited supply of homes that's actually completed, if you can see from the blue bar here. So not a lot that goes out into the market for people actually to rent. That's why rents are moving up. And then with this rule change, you're going to have some of this demand going to rent in the private market and therefore supporting the rent growth again. Although we are going to see a lot of supply completing in 2023, because of the policy change, the tight rental situation might not ease, because you are going to have this incremental demand of pool of people who is going to sell their private property and rent in the interim. Then, although we are going to see these 17,000 private properties completed here, this demand may be enough to actually absorb this increase in supply. So the other question people ask is that, then I do not rent from the private market. Can I rent from the Hdb market? Unfortunately, the Hdb market is also facing similar situation. This chart here actually shows us that rents is actually up by 21% for Hdb. This is based on the index again. This is not an official Hdb rental index, because Hdb don't publish a rental index. It comes from the private market itself, where they elaborate this rental index. So there's also limited supply of Hdb flats, while the construction industry is catching up and going closer to the pre-pandemic level. We were expecting more homes to be completed next year. But then again, this demand, if it goes to private, it goes to the Hdb, it's going to support the rents to actually continue to grow again in 2023. So people who are caught out, they are actually getting whacked on two fronts. They come by Hdb flat, they have to rent at quite high rents in this year as well as next year. So then where does this 15-month date start and end? You may have this question. So here I put this timeline for you so that you understand better. And again, when the government, MAS and MND throw out the cooling measure, there's one thing that they did not mention, is that your overseas residential property is actually covered under this change in rule also. So if you own a residential property overseas, you have to sell it and then wait for 15 months before you can buy a Hdb flat. So here you can see that first, if you sell your local private residential property or overseas residential property, if the date of official completion is 1st November 2022, 15 months later, then you can submit your resale application. That means 15 months later, let it pass, so it goes into 1st of February 2024, then you can actually submit the resale application in. So anytime before that, your resale application cannot go into the system. And part of the reason they do this is also some of the private property owners are actually buying the larger flats and willing to pay in full cash, and resulting in quite a number of $1 million flats in 2022. Just 9 months alone, we have 275. This is based on Hdb statistics. And this is actually much higher than what we had for the whole of 2021 already. So if they don't do anything to try to slow down the increase in Hdb prices, this situation is going to really get out of hand. Because you can see the price from here is that the angle of this line is so steep, 45-degree angle, that the prices has gone up a lot. Since the circuit breaker till the third quarter, if I remember, it went up by 20+% already. So it's like a short span of 2 years. So it's really very fast pace of growth in the Hdb resale market. Just now I also said that they changed some of the terms if you want to take a loan for Hdb. So there is this loan to value ratio that they changed to 80%, and then they also compute the Hdb concessionary loan, the floor rate from 2.6 to 3%. So again, this is a stress test. They're trying to move it itself. So it applies to all Hdb loan eligibility letter that is issued on or after 30th September itself. Before that, if you apply for it before, you will not be affected by this. So what will this impact be? The impact of this MSR interest rate for those who are new to this, if you buy private properties, you are subject to TDSR, the total debt servicing ratio. So they use a total debt servicing ratio of 55%. If you are buying a Hdb flat, they use a mortgage service ratio, which currently stands at 30%. So there's this slight difference over there, but they are all built on the same mechanics, have a stress test interest rate inside there also. So again, I have this here, and I assume a combined income of 6,000, which today Minister Desmond also say, let's say they assume a median income for young couple about 6,500. So I actually use about 6,000 over here. So, and then take a loan tenure, because Hdb loan itself is only 25 years. And then of course, here I assume that you are taking from the bank, using a 25-year tenure instead of the full, and then the 75% loan. So you can see the difference here is a drop of about 18,000 there, around there, or close to 19,000. So it's a difference of 5.2%. So the different income ceiling for Hdb buyers, the impact on their loan is 5.2% change. So it's 5.2% lower. So what are the solutions that you can actually use or available for you to actually consider? Some are actually not very ideal. I will be very frank here, because the private property owners will feel aggrieved at this change itself. So for private property owner, if they have already sold, really no choice really, you haven't submitted a Hdb resale application, you really have to rent. If you don't mind itself, you want to save on the rental, go for Hdb flat. Hdb flats are generally lower, the rents are lower than compared to a private apartment. Second, of course, if you have not sold, you might want to consider, let's say you want to sell and then continue staying in a private apartment itself. Because in this case, you're actually not affected by this 15-month rule. You continue to sell private and buy another private, but you right size to a smaller unit so you can cash out some of the money for other rainy day purposes. The other solution is, of course, if you have not sold and you still want to sell, of course, you can consider selling first and rents while you are waiting for the 15 months to actually pass. For Hdb owners, what can you do? Of course, we will recommend that look at buying new launches, because Hdb owners, if they want to upgrade, you are faced with a situation of you need to pay ABSD if you don't sell a Hdb flat. The other is that the interest rate is high. So if you actually go to the resale market and buy, the current interest rate of say close to 3%, you have to pay that every month, starting from the start itself. But when you buy new launches, you can actually tide over this high interest rate environment, because it's actually on the progressive payment. After you pay that 20%, the next drawdown of the loan for the completion of foundation is about 5%. It takes place about 12 months later. And when we look at some of the forecasts from the banks, they also project that the rates will probably peak somewhere in 2023. Thereafter, it will actually comes down. So just nice, this 12 months period, you can tide over this. And after that, when the rates come down and you start paying that your drawdown the loan, the interest rate has come down already, then you can actually go and commit to the loan. Of course, the banks today also share with me one thing is that if you wait 1 year for the next year to actually sign on the paper for a loan, the disadvantage to you is that 1 year later, your loan tenure will be reduced by 1 year. So what they actually recommend you is that to take a loan first, but there's no drawdown. You can actually sign on a loan package with them, but of course on the currently on the floating rate itself. then you still have the loan tenure. Let's say if your income weighted average age is 35, you can get a maximum loan tenure of 30. But when you move to next year, your loan tenure will be reduced to 29, and then your money installment will be increased. So they are recommending that you go in earlier to lock in the higher loan tenure. The second solution for HDB owners is to actually consider a new EC. For example, Coupon Grant, which is actually will be open for booking this month. Why buy a EC? Because when you buy an EC, there are several advantages. You do not need to sell your HDB flat first. You can continue to stay. You don't need to, because of this given, you do not need to pay the additional buyer's stamp duty also. And furthermore, if you are eligible, you still can get CPF grants, and then you can still apply for a deferred payment scheme also. And deferred payment scheme again push this whole loan all the way until the project gets TOP. And if Coupon Grant construction period is 5 years, that means you don't need to pay the bank anything until it reaches TOP, which is 5 years later. And 5 years later, interest rate may have come down from this current high also. And then during this period of time, although just now I said that you have there's some reduction in terms of loan amount that you can take, you can actually use the construction period to actually save to cover over the difference. Later on, I will show you a calculation on how much you can actually save. So where is Coupon Grant? Coupon Grant is actually in Terengganu Town. Terengganu Town is a HDB town that is planned with smart technologies right from the start. So there are a lot of different features that just built in, and it's also planned as a car light town. So this car light town, it means that the town center itself, there is no vehicular traffic. So the vehicle traffic actually goes in a way like below ground. So it actually makes it very safe, very walkable for everybody. So you can imagine having your kids running around, not having to worry whether there's a road, there's car coming, and things. Of course, right nowadays we have to be mindful of bicycles. And then Coupon Grant itself, you can see from here, the location is fantastic. In the middle of 3 MRT stations, Tengah MRT station, Hongkah, and Tengah Plantation, right in the middle. So it's within 500-meter walk to all 3. And then there is this blue, light blue plot here. This is an integrated transport hub. That's where you're going to have a shopping mall there, and it is very near to Coupon Grant. And then, of course, this 39 is actually on the Jurong Region 9 itself and brings you to different parts of Singapore. And if you are working in the west, especially if Jurong Innovation District or even the Jurong Lake District, this place is really very good, best for you, because very fast for you to actually get to your workplace. So these are some of the good things about in terms of accessibility and even the amenities for Coupon Grant itself. So we can see the difference, the walking distance to 3 MRT stations that I shared earlier. And then there's this integrated transport hub here, where there's going to be a shopping mall. There's also be a bus interchange somewhere here also. And then the other things you have, because in the HDB estate, you are really assured of having amenities, eating houses, coffee shops here and there, and at the first level of the different HDB blocks also. And then if you want to go to Jurong Innovation District, Jurong Lake District, the MRT station on the Jurong Region 9 will just bring you there very fast. Within 10 minutes, you will be there. And what's more is that there's actually no EC in the West since 2017. The last launch was actually In's residence in Choa Chu Kang Avenue 5. That was actually, like I say here, in 2017. So this EC have not even passed the MOP yet. So this, in a way that if people want to buy, still want to stay in the West, because they have been there for all their life, they are working there, this is the one for them to consider. And papers are actually saying that to build more ECs to actually allow people to actually move up, have a more affordable option for them to actually move into a private residential living. And of course, if you are a second timer, you definitely must look at EC. Why? Because there is this change in August itself, if I remember the month, that HDB says that they are going to allocate more flats in non-mature estate to first timer. Now first timer get 95%. Previously it was 85%. second timers you have a 15% chance. Right now is that you only have a 5% BTO chance. So imagine if the BTO that goes up only have say 500 units, they are only setting aside 5% of these 500 units. That means only 25 units for second timer. So you want to move from your existing say slightly older flat to this new BTO, there's only 25 flats for everybody in the vicinity, in the town, to actually compete for. That's why when you look at the application rate for a second timer, it is always super duper high. If you manage to get one, really, you are super lucky. And then, of course, when we look at the BTO itself, there are every time we are looking at something like 30,000 people disappointed. This is actually, if I'm not wrong, is the recent BTO launch in August. So they will push out 4,000 plus. There were 34,000 applicants. So more than 30,000 are disappointed. And I will say that this more than 30,000, a huge chunk are actually the second timer, because they account for a lot, but they can only get allocated 5%. And then the rest are actually all your first timer. So if you want to have a higher chance to get a new home, look at EC. And then within 500-meter radius, MRT, integrated transport hub, shopping mall, amenities, and even healthcare. These are some of the factors that could possibly actually make your property more valuable in the future. So we use these 5 factors, and then we compare to some of the ECs around the island that actually been sold in, actually reached a 5-year MO period and been transacted. So we are looking at places like Copen Grand. Of course, very close to Copen Grand, we actually another two EC sites at Bukit Batok, West Avenue 8 and as well West Avenue 5. The West Avenue 8 and West Avenue 5, they're actually side by side, just that they face different entry points, so the address is slightly different, but they are just next door to each other. Then there's one more at Tengah Plantation that is coming up, but that is a while later. And then of course one more Senja Close EC site on the reserve list. So if we look at just now the 5 factors that we have, and which one tick all the boxes, Copen Grand tick all the 5 boxes. The rest some have, some don't have, and things. So looking at this, really, are we really saying that this? You may say that we are picking all this so that it actually tells you that these are all the good things. The rest don't have this, so they are put in more not so favorable position. But let's look at what the data actually tells us by looking at the per square foot change in terms of the launch price. So some of this is actually already completed, and we put back the same variable here to see some of the completed projects over here as well. These are quite new projects in the past few years or so. So the values actually meet all the boxes, 5 boxes here. They are again in terms of median PSF since the launch is up by 62. The rest is about 40% itself. So this 40%, it appears that the difference could be due to some of the red boxes here where they don't have some of these desired attributes. So it could be due to all this. So Copen Grand in itself actually have all 5. So likely in the future, you're probably going to see better price appreciation for Copen Grand compared to other EC, which do not have all these 5 attributes. So for EC itself, like I said earlier, there's a lot of advantages because there's no ABSD. You can continue to stay in your existing flat. There's no seller stamp duty because you have an MOP 5 years. It covers the seller stamp duty already. Seller stamp duty is only 3 years. You have deferred payment scheme. You don't pay anything until TOP. And then, of course, upon TOP, you can actually get a special bridging loan for you to come up with the additional cash that you need while you're in the process of selling off your HDB flat. There's no restriction on the second loan. So when you buy, you even still have a existing loan that is still outstanding, you can actually get a full 75% loan, because at the end of the day, you still need to sell your HDB flat. So you are back to only one loan. So that's why this is actually taken as you only having one loan in that sense. There's no antique restriction, and there's also price subsidies because the land price is actually lower, and yet you get like full condo facilities also for EC and condo style living also. So what is the impact of interest rate on the EC loan? It's follow the same as your HDB loan. So the difference is like 5.2%. So this is if you are having an income of 16K, now you can only borrow about 1.01 million. So there is this shortfall about 64,000. And this shortfall of 64,000, if you look at the construction period of 5 years, you spread this over 5 years, it's about 12,000 odd, 12,000 a year, for example. 12,000 a year is 1,000 a month. 1,000 a month divided by 2%, each month save 500 a month, which is quite doable. So at the end of the whole construction period, the couple will have saved much more than this 64,000 for them to make up any shortfall for them to buy a EC. So in a way, they are actually not affected by this change in terms of the MSR interest rate. So if you want to take advantage of this, really consider an EC. It will help you get over this cooling measure that's imposed on Hdb market. And yet, when you go for the EC, you still get a full condo living environment. That's all I am going to have to share today. If you think that tonight's sharing is good, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review. If you have any questions, please type them into a Q&A, and I will actually go through them to see and then answer your questions also. I also check on Facebook because we have a Facebook, we are streamed to Facebook Live also to see whether there are any questions. Okay. I have one question here to say, let's say if I'm 35 this year, am I eligible to take HDB loan up to 60 years old, that means 25 loans, or can I stretch to 30 years? Okay, if you want to take a HDB loan, the maximum loan tenure is 25 only. If you want to have a 30 years loan tenure, then you have to go to a bank. For right now, I would recommend, because of the rising interest rate, if you are buying a HDB flat, to look at a HDB loan, because at 2.6% is actually lower and it's a fixed rate. And then if in the future, when you see the bank rates coming down, you want to take advantage of the lower rates offered by the banks, you can switch out to the bank. But if you go and take a bank loan from the start, you cannot go back to a HDB loan. So be mindful of this. But then again, of course, HDB concessionary loan, you can usually take 2 times only. So if you take already, that's 1 time, you are left with only 1 chance for your next purchase, whether it's a HDB flat or it's an HDB flat itself. Okay, another question on the chat. What do I think that this cooling measure on smaller condo? First thing, this cooling measure for HDB flats itself, we should tackle the HDB and then we'll talk about the condo first. Because they tell the seniors that if you want to buy HDB without waiting out for 15 months, you can only buy a 4-room or smaller flat. So some of this demand over there for these seniors who are actually previously looking at a larger flat, which is going to go to the 4-room HDB flat and push up the prices of 4-room HDB flats in the coming months. And then for those who have sold or who want to sell to actually cash out money for rainy days, they are likely to move from larger private home to actually a smaller one. So in a sense, they may actually look at a 1 or even a 2-bedroom. If they are empty nester, that means the children has already moved out. They could already be looking at just say a 1-bedroom or even a 2-bedroom. therein the demand may be pushed up and the prices may also strengthen for the 1 and 2 bedroom. Whether the other question that he has is, I assume is a male. Should I wait first? Now, what is your eventual objective itself? If you are buying it to actually stay there for the long term, I think you should actually go out to actually buy, because when you wait, there's no telling what will actually happen, whether there is any other policy change, or let's say if there's already the demand is so strong that it's push up the resale market price again, then you'll be forced to actually wait for higher price, pay higher for a 1 or 2 bedroom, say a few months down the road also. Does this mean that the price of 4-room flats will start to increase? It's possible, because the senior HDB is restricting them from buying a 5-room and larger flat. So some of this demand ready, if they don't want to wait, they don't want to rent, they don't want to buy a private home, they want to buy a HDB immediately, they will already look at a 4-room flat. And then when they do so, they will actually push up the demand. And we know that 4-room flats, although we have a lot of supply, largest supply out there, built by HDB also, but we do not have a lot of supply for sale. So every time my agents, when I talk to them, is that they have a listing that comes out, they will have many groups of buyers coming in to view. So that is the demand out there in the market now. Does this mean HDB rentals will also increase rapidly? The rental wise, as I shared earlier, because some private property owners are actually caught out by this, they have already sold, and they can't buy now. So if they do not want to buy, they definitely have to rent. So it's either the private or HDB side. Then the demand from these people will actually support the rent increase in 2023. I cannot foretell whether the rents will rise rapidly, but I don't think that we are going to see rents actually say contracting just because we're going to have a lot of supply competing, HDB flat competing in 2023. So what I feel is the likely scenario that will happen in 2023 for rents is that it may not grow at the same pace of what we are seeing this year. This year, we think probably 20% for HDB rents. Next year, probably slightly slower, maybe 10%, then about to 15%. So this is probably the range that we are looking at. Of course, as the months move along, then we get more visibility, then I will refine my forecast for 2023 accordingly. No, for EC, second timer, if you go in, is 30%. That's why I say that for second timer, if you want to buy, look at the EC, because 30% you have a higher chance. Compared to BTO, you have only 5%. Oh, this question here is very good. Why 15 months and not 6 months or 12 months? We do not have an answer. Just now, the journalist from today also called me, trying to understand why is it 15 months, not 6 or not 12. Our guess is that they are probably looking at 15 months, a sufficient period for the market, the Hdb resale market, to actually cool down in terms of prices. Hopefully by then it will return to a more sustainable price growth, like 1% or 1% thereabout per quarter. And then the other possible reason is that for people to actually after that to rent, and then if they want to move out again because they bought a new Hdb flat. Again, you buy a Hdb flat, it takes some time for the whole sale to be completed. If you want to renovate certain things or do touch up within the flat itself, it may take you a few months. Depends on how extensive you want to do. So this 15 months is probably quite sufficient. They will view that, because if you take a 2-year lease, it gives you about 9 months for you to actually do the necessary before you actually move out. Or even if you think it can be done very fast, you can actually offer 18-month lease with the landlord. So we really has no real answer to why it is 15 months. Five rooms and bigger flats, will the prices be stable or not? We think the 5-room and the bigger flats, the prices will be more stable, because you are removing the demand, one part of the demand from these larger flats. Because first thing we must understand why 5-room and larger flats, the prices has been moving up and even exceeding 1 million, is because Hdb is building lesser and lesser 5-room flats, and they are not building any executive apartments or mansionette. That's why when we have the demand there and these people want to sell there, that's why the prices will be pushed up. So with this demand being shifted to say the 4-room, the demand here will moderate, and then prices will likely to also moderate also. So this question here is very good. It's also a situation that is faced by quite a number of private property owners on the ground. So this private property owner actually has sold the private property and has submit or exercised OTP for a resale flat, but have not submit the resale application. Does he have to wait 15 months? Unfortunately, the answer is yes, you have to wait 15 months. You may want to try to appeal to Hdb for this, but we will not know whether they will allow the appeal, but we can try to appeal to see whether they will let your owner to go ahead with the purchase. Is this a good time to sell? So I will not answer you straight to tell you whether it is a good time to sell, but I will also ask you another question back, is that after selling, where are you going to stay? Do you have an alternative? If you have an alternative, then you can actually consider selling. So yes, if you already have alternative places to stay, you can actually consider selling, because right now the demand in the resale market is strong. So no harm putting up for sale. If there's no further questions, thank you very much for joining me tonight. Tomorrow I will have another session for conducted in Mandarin. So if you have Chinese friends who want to understand more about the cooling measures, please also get the registration details from a Huttons associate. Then they can actually join the webinar tomorrow night. Same time, also 8 p.m. I will see some of your friends tomorrow night. See you. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.